trail director and duck hunting guide with years of outdoors knowledge, who's not afraid of letting the lack of facts get in the way of telling a good story. And last but not least, Daiwa and Ranger Pro Steve Graff, a former two-sport athlete from Northwestern State University who has a great reputation among tournament anglers for catching dinks. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the three wise men of the outdoors and living legends, Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the one and only Steve Graff. Take it away, guys.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down 1130 The Tiger. Segment 1, the very first out of the box, brought to you by Coastal Conservation Association, Steve Nichols and Specialty Trackhoe. And I'm telling you, that is a man among men. When we talk to Johnny Geis a little bit later in this show, he's going to tell you a little bit about the trip that Steve and I made with him over there last Friday. Steve's just one of those kind of guys that no matter what's going on, Steve makes you feel like a better man. You could just.
Some people have that effect.
He just reeks of God.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, he stinks. It's the most beautiful smell in the whole wide world.
So does he walk on water?
I bet he could if he wanted to.
Can he turn water into wine or wine into water?
If the Lord needed him to. Also by the Red River Waterway Commission, and a couple of things going on. Of course, Mike Eccles not in the house. I'm Gary McCoy, along with the Ranger Pro staffer Steve Graff. Mike, from what I heard, is on a cruise ship somewhere in the Caribbean with the world's largest cane pole.
Yeah, our Caribbean audience down there requested his presence down there during this week's show.
Yeah.
And so we sent Mike down there.
He's trying to catch a brim out of the ocean right now.
I don't know if he'll ever come back, but hey.
Can you imagine Eccles on a cruise ship
with the natives?
With a couple of toddies.
And the natives.
Hey, today's show is going to be a doozy. In studio with us from the Northwestern State University fishing team. They just won the Cabela's Wild Card Tournament, 2 weeks ago?
Well, and I've got that wrong, Gary.
Okay.
It's the Carhart College.
Oh, the Carhart.
Yeah, I had Cabela's on yours. I've corrected
Long and short, it's the team of Johnny Leday, Justin Cooper. They are going to be here. And, I mean, it was one of those – that was a wire-to-wire kind of
yeah, it really was.
Finish. I mean, right there. And isn't it true they had to beat the two young men from LSUS that we just had in the studio with us? I mean, it came down to those four.
Yeah, J.P. Kimbrough and his partner, they were right there, second place, and it was a tight race. It's great to see local kids doing so well on a national level.
Oh, dude. And you know what? I mean, when you think of these teams, you've also got the teams that are coming out of what is Northeast called now? Louisiana Monroe, ULM. The ULM team is huge. A number of teams from the state of Louisiana and East Texas as well doing really good in that. Also got some outdoor outlaws for you this week. Stephen Johnston's going to be back on. Tell us about what's happening on Toledo Bend. The big discussion this week is going to be with BASS High School Director Hank Weldon. And obviously, first and foremost, this week's brand new news that Toledo Bend has retained the top spot on the BASS, the Bassmaster Magazine's 100 Best Bass Lakes list. First time ever back-to-back winner.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, and there's, again, as we just had Bob Griffin in here, I did a little spot for Bob, and talking about, what determines that? Well, we've got some information here in front of us, Gary, that there's basically the criteria for this event. First of all, 3 months of research go into this for the rankings that editor James Hall, who we had on the program last year, and he noted that the initial pool of top fisheries was developed with input from BASS Nation members across the country, state fishery biologists, and 3,500 member BASS council, and some 650,000 Facebook fans of BASS. A lot goes into this.
Oh, and it didn't hurt that, so far, or in the previous calendar year, there were 139 certified bass over 10 pounds, a 14.15 pounder topping the list.
Yeah, and those are just the ones reported.
Oh, yeah.
We still believe there's probably 150 plus.
Now, here's something that occurred to me, because Bob and I were talking about this yesterday, and he said, why? Not why is it number one, but why do I think the fishing has gotten so good? And I'm going to tell you, I honestly believe that, A, we're doing our homework. they have continually restocked the Florida fingerlings into the lake. I mean, even the elite guys got involved with it this year.
850,000 fingerlings every year.
But I don't think that that's the sole reason. I honestly believe that Mother Nature had a little bit of input on this with the drought. And the fact that the lake got so low for so long, you had brand new vegetation that came back up. It was almost like you reopened a brand new Toledo Bend.
Well, also, too, the Sabine River Authority signing the agreement that they would no longer pull electricity or pull water below 167.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't mean the lake can't go below 167.
Which it did.
Just on natural occurrences with a drought.
Right.
But they were still pulling water during that time. On the last drought we had, they kept pulling water, and then the SRA made them sign an agreement that said, hey, you will no longer do that in the future. So I think water level has a lot to do with it.
Well, you and I had some good fortune earlier this year, back in late January, fishing in the State Fair boat tournament. We finished up 5th. We had 2 bass weighed 14.5 pounds.
Right.
And which was the largest string ever weighed out of Toledo Bend.
Right.
And the cool part about that was that we caught those fish in buckbrush that 10 years ago wasn't there.
Oh, that's true.
Wasn't there.
Right.
It was because the lake got so low for so long, you had vegetation growing in places that had never been.
Yeah.
And that type of vegetation, because before the lake came up in, 67, 69, somewhere along in there.
Exactly right.
There wasn't buckbrush growing in that area. There was probably big old oak flats out there.
Exactly. Big oak trees that you couldn't even see across the lake with so many trees.
So honestly, I think that, there were a lot of things that came together. Obviously, the SRA has done an incredible job of managing the fishery. They continue to generate the electricity, but them agreeing to not pull it down beyond that point of 167, really will help out a whole lot. But the lake is God just came through, man. We've had all the right rain, we've had all the right stuff, and the shad explosion this year was unbelievable. Every lake that you and I have gone to, the shad spawn has been probably better than I've ever seen.
Yeah, Gary, a lot of times on fisheries, when you get a major shad spawn like that, it tends to make the fishing a little tougher because the fish are full. They got so much forage teeth that they're full. For some reason, that has not translated to Toledo Bend. They still will bite an artificial bait over there, and you can go over there and catch not just big fish, but you can catch a lot of quality.
Well, speaking of big fish and quality things along those lines, the CCA Star Tournament is going on right now. And that actually got launched around Memorial Day weekend. And finally, somebody's capitalized and won a truck.
Yep, on the Texas CCA Star Tournament Trail, Myers is the first winner of the 2016 loaded Ford F-150 Texas Edition XLT Super Cab, pulling a brand new 23-foot Haney Bigfoot boat rigged with Mercury 150 Pro XS Optimax motor. Coastline trailer prize package, which was awarded to him at the Star Awards ceremony in October. There were 59 tagged redfish still out there swimming, and 4 truck, boat, motor trailer prize packages, plus 5 boat, motor trailer prize packages still available to win in the Texas Ford Dealers Redfish division of the Star Tournament. So Texas has actually had a winner. And, of course, this tournament runs through Labor Day.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage everybody, if you're going to the Gulf, especially around Galveston, anywhere on the Texas coastline, make sure you sign up.
And Louisiana,
If you're fishing in Louisiana, make sure you do the same thing. And next week, David Cresson is going to be on the show with us and kind of talk about some of the recent winners of the Louisiana Star Tournament.
Now, you just go online, and I think that's ccastar.com. Isn't that right?
Right.
ccastar.com, and it's then state appropriate. You just let them know which state you're in, because they're all over the place now. And if you get an opportunity to go to one of their fundraiser banquets, a real great banquet, it's basically the classic format of that. But you're helping a great cause. When you look at what our red fishing and trout fishing was like, let's just say 20 years ago.
Right.
Dude, it's a different game down there now.
No doubt. But what's amazing, when I've gone to the Gulf with my brother Mike and my nephew down there, Chris, when we, you can't catch 15 redfish. The limit's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So You would think so close to Louisiana, but Louisiana, of course, we all know Venice is the fishing cat. Folks, if you don't realize just how
What's right
great
here?
the fishing is at Venice, Louisiana,
Oh, my God.
and Burris and all down through that area.
Got to get it
Burris.
right, Beers.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually live 4 hours from the best fishing in the world.
Without a doubt. And, the cool part is when you go to Venice, you can go out and you can fish some of the old canals, going back into
Yeah.
the oil locations.
And we're not talking Italy.
No. But you can get out there and you can catch a limit of bass
Yeah.
as quick as you could ever catch a
Exactly.
limit anywhere.
Yeah.
And then come back in and maybe enjoy a little bit of lunch or something like that, and
Yeah.
then go back out and catch a limit of specks and reds.
Reds.
It's the most unbelievable fishing trip you And then, like Ryan Lambert and the guys in the fall, they do the cast and blast. You go fish or you go duck hunt in the morning and
Yeah.
then do a little fishing in the afternoon. You get it all.
Oh, yeah. They call it cast and blast, I think, something like that.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, you did.
You need to
But
tune
anyway,
in.
no, I'm listening. All right.
Now
Now,
he's reading his computer.
Let's talk
Somebody's
a little-
texting him right now.
let's talk a
Y'all
little-
stop. Leave my boy alone. He can do one thing at a time.
let's talk a little Ram truck tour that I participated in this past weekend, and I did okay. It didn't do what I wanted to do. I had a little over 14 and a half, right at 14 and a half pounds, but it wasn't good enough. Darren Roberts, who's a friend of mine, who's kind of gotten back into bass fishing a little bit, great angler from Nacogdoches, Texas, brought in 5 fish that weighed 2603.
Way to go, Rayburn.
Yeah, he did a good job.
You know what I'm
Nick
trying to see? Where did Rayburn finish up on the big list?
It's-
Number 4.
Yes, number 4.
Number 4. Toledo Bend and Rayburn, 2 of the positions in the top 4.
Oh,
Half
man.
of the top 4 right there in
our backyard.
Dude.
It don't get no better. Scott Bailey of Longview, Texas, finished second with 20 pounds, 18 ounces. Nick LeBrun from Bossier City. Nick's always near the top of the leaderboard. 5 fish, had 1853. Albert Collins from Nacogdoches, who we've had on the program, the former Bassmaster Classic qualifier. Albert came in 5th. Daryl Gleason from Leesville, my good friend and buddy, Coach Ronnie Bickle, came in 10th. Todd Castledine, a great angler out of Nacogdoches, came in 11th. Yours truly, I finished 28th. And tell you what, man, it was tough. But there was a lot of good bags. A lot of that 14 to 17, a bunch.
Yeah.
In that 14, 17 pound range.
If I was headed to Rayburn right now, what do I want to zero in on as far as pattern goes?
well, they're in the brush.
They're still up in the woods.
Well, the water's 5 feet high there.
Oh wow!
It's 5 feet
So
above pool.
are they in willows or brush?
I had trouble getting bit in willows. Most of my fish came off cypress trees.
Okay.
So and
See, that's something you didn't have 15 years ago. You didn't have cypress trees.
There's a bush I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't know what it is, but a lot of my fish came out of them. It's a little bush and it's got a white, fluffy, furry flower on it. Mm-hmm. And where I found those,
Yeah.
you could flip in the middle of them. Son, there was a fish in every one of them.
Really?
Yes, sir. And I don't know what that bush is. I need to find out.
The white fluffy flowery.
so I can educate everybody, because I'm gonna tell you now, whatever it is, it holds fish. But one thing I want to talk about though.
What's the next stop on that tournament trail?
They go to Toledo Bend. That's the Southeast Texas division.
Okay, gotcha.
And but I'm gonna get on the soapbox, Gary.
Not you, Graf.
You know how many fish
You would never preach.
we lost in that tournament? This is why I hate June, July, August tournament. This is why we lost 61 fish.
Wow.
61. You know how many fish we lost combined in January, February tournaments?
Can't imagine. None.
One.
One. Yeah.
We lost 61 fish this weekend, dude.
Is that from
anglers-
improper handling?
Either anglers aren't educated on how to handle fish, or their live wells just aren't equipped to do what they need to do. I don't know, but these are guys fishing out of Rangers, Skeeters, Tritons, top of the line boats.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling it's angler neglect or the inability to know how to handle their fish is all I can figure. 61 fish, that's too many. Now I lost my very first fish for this in 3 years in my live well. I hooked him, first fish of the day, hooked him in under the tongue, but when I put him in the boat, I don't know if he got hung up in something underneath the water, but he was bleeding heavily from his gills. Mm-hmm. And I knew when I dropped him in that box, I said, this fish will not make it.
Let me give you a little hint. From now on, carry.
Oh, I know.
What?
Yeah, Mountain Dew works.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it
Carry a
works.
can of Mountain Dew in your boat.
But
Pour it all over that. I mean, all over.
when I looked at the fish, he got into some limbs or something.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault.
And
It was
tore
somebody else's fault.
tore his gills.
Yeah, it was improper handling by somebody else.
Yeah, well, it wasn't handling by somebody. He got hung up. I had him in a brush top. So I did my part. But it just really bothers me that we lost 61 fish, dude. That's a lot of fish.
That's a lot of fish.
61. So I'm not a big proponent of summertime bass fishing. I'm really not. If they said put it to a vote, grab votes no.
Or less than 5 fish limit.
Yeah, and weigh in at 1 o'clock, not 3 o'clock. We was on the water 9 hours the other day.
Good deal.
That's too long.
Hook it up and track it down. 11:30. The Tiger.
Underneath, I'm just a cotton picker.
This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Toledo Fiberglass, and Spro Lures. Makers of the Spro Frog named one of the top bass lures for 2016. Here's Steve Graff, Gary McCoy, and Mike Eccles.
And welcome back to Hooking Up and Tracking Down, segment 2 of Hour 1. Mike Eccles is in the Caribbean. We've sent him off down there with the natives and to educate them on how to catch brim. And so Gary McCoy over here with me. Pushing the buttons is Jay Bird.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, dude?
How are you?
Good, top water. Tell us about Cypress Knee Outdoors.
All right, outdoorsmen are funny. Can y'all hear me good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you good.
I'm not hearing myself at all. But if you guys
That's
hear
okay.
me-
Sometimes that's a blessing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
You can deny everything then. I didn't
right.
say that.
Outdoorsmen are a funny bunch sometimes. Like animals, we are creatures of habit. We like it when we can count on the same place to have what we're looking for. That place is Cypress Knee Outdoors off Highway 1 just south of Natchitoches. Hunting and fishing supplies with a huge selection of guns and ammo. So make that short drive down I-49 and take exit 127 and let John Abraham and his knowledgeable staff at Cypress Knee Outdoors show you that they are not just another tackle store. Go to cypresskneeoutdoors.com to learn more.
Okie dokie. On the phone with us. No, not on the phone.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, on the phone.
Yeah, if you can hear me, yes.
Okay, is it Johnny Leday? Johnny Leday is on the phone. Do you also have Justin on with you, Johnny, or is it just you?
We're about 4 hours apart from each other right now.
Okay.
I'm in South Louisiana.
Y'all had to put a little space between each other after you big heads, kind of wandering around through that Carhartt tournament win, huh?
Well, no, we still fished with each other after we won that tournament.
Y'all can't sit in the same boat for very long, can you? I mean, it kind of tilts over to one side. Y'all can't cast off to the same side. Y'all got to split the duties on that, huh?
Well, we just spent our weekend out on Toledo Bend, boat captains and high school kids, so we were still itching to get to fish a little bit.
Matter of fact, let's just get Johnny's opinion on
Okay,
that.
here. Let me make sure that everyone knows who's on the phone with us. From Northwestern State University, the fishing team of Johnny Leday and Justin Cooper. This obviously is Johnny. The guys just won the Carhartt wild card position. What does that do for you now? Before we get to Toledo Bend, what does that do for you? Does that advance you to another opportunity?
Oh, yes, sir. That advanced us to the national championship. This will be our third time fishing it. The first year we missed the cut at our central regional on the Washita River by like 2 ounces. They didn't make it to the national championship, so we had to fish a wild card, and that was on Pickwick. And basically the wild card, what it does is it gives the teams from each region. There's 5 regions, an opportunity that didn't make it at their conference to have another chance at making the national championship. So it's, of course, a lot bigger tournament. And this year, there's usually about 13 teams in each conference that makes the national championship, and then they got the wild card. Each tournament's probably got between 100 to 150 boats in each regional. So all those extra people who didn't get a chance to make it get to go to the wild card and fish. And that's how we made it the first year. And last year we won our conference on Red River, and this year we happened to win the wild card. So.
Well, you had a good team from Shreveport kicking on your heels there, J.P. Kimbrough and Jared Rasco, who we've had on the show a couple of weeks ago. And also, I just noticed it, you had the third-place team from Northwestern State as well with Aaron Bellegarde and Logan Laperie.
Yep. That's the funny thing is that all 3 of us were in probably a 500-yard radius of each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how did that go over?
The thing was, it was good. We all had our own little spot to fish. JP and Jared was fishing a grass patch. We were all within a quarter mile from the lawn.
Oh, okay.
All of us. And they were fishing a grass patch that had about 3 other teams on it. And when they went through that grass patch, what I heard is JP turned the hydro wave on. And when he turned it on, apparently it, made those fish in the grass really kick on, and they called a 7 and a 4, like really close to each other, like back to back. And we were about 300 yards off of them, fishing one little patch of coontail and hydrilla, probably as big as a camper trailer. We pulled. The only time we could pull up the fish, and at the right time was when the wind really started to blow and hit it. Because that morning we started there and caught 2 little short fish on it. And we just moved to the bank and started flipping again. And when that wind picked up, we turned around and looked at the camera guy and said, we need to get to that grass patch right now. And when we pulled up to it, in probably 20 minutes, we had all our way fish.
It's amazing what wind does.
Okay, so, but this is one of those things. This is where you got to stay in the game mentally.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, and you watch JP and his partner boat a 7 and a 4.
Yeah.
And you're watching them. You're watching them drive a stake through your heart.
Well, there was worse than that.
Uh-oh.
Between JP and us, there was another guy from Bethel University. He caught big bass for the tournament. It was an 8-6, and we watched him catch it.
Oh man! Holy cow!
So how do y'all recoup and focus mentally and say, okay, we're just going to beat the bank, do a little flipping, and then try to come back when we get some wind?
Well, the thing was, each day, all of our good fish came from the middle of the day, and a lot of people, in practice, we went off of, man, we really got to catch them early. That's when we're catching all our fish early. And the first day, it showed us that we didn't have to rely on an early bite to catch them because we caught all our good fish, in the middle of the day. So I don't know if all the pressure on the bank got to those fish.
Yeah.
Pushed them out to that deeper grass like we were fishing. Which I feel like that had something to do with it, and also the lake was dropping, so I feel like all those fish that were tucked up in the reeds was moving out to us.
Well, John, it's funny you should bring up the hydro wave because I was actually watching not Jimmy Houston, but Scott Martin's show last night. Scott Martin has one of those units on the front of his boat. Now, I know it was a promotional deal, and he reached down. He made an issue and made a point to say, I'm turning on my hydro wave now. Let's see what happens here. And they started just catching fish. Now, of course, TV, you can do a lot of editing. But do you have one on your boat?
I do not, and I kind of wish I do.
Well, I'm leaning that away. I've actually, and you brought it up today that, you're the third person I've heard in the last 2 weeks talk about this unit, and I'm starting to wonder maybe it does make a difference.
I'm not sure if it does or does not, but I don't want to be the guy that's on the lake when somebody pulls up next to me with one and it does make a difference.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm kind of like you.
But you know what? You think about this now. At some point, won't the fish even get acclimated to that if everybody's got one?
Well,
won't the fish? It'll be like the pinging of your depth finder.
But that's a different sound because the feeding of bait, it imitates live bait fish. So they hear that all the time anyway. So
I've heard it's supposed to mask the pinging, but quit it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. how well it works or not, but
Now, see, I hadn't heard that before, but that makes a little sense.
Yeah.
It masks the ping.
if they done that, that's good enough, you know.
Hmm.
Just what's crazy for us is we pulled up to that grass patch the second time and caught a good one, probably like 4.5, 5 pounds right off the bat. And I mean, it wasn't 2 casts later, you know, we caught one. It's like we fired them up,
Yeah,
you know, and then all of a sudden they just quit biting, like out of nowhere quit.
just like a turn the switch off. Yeah,
Half on that spot without another bite.
that's never happened to me.
So we tried throwing a big wild thing worm in there, trying to get a big one to bite something slow, you know, and something like that. And we'd work something over the top of them real slow like that. After we originally caught them on a lightning blade, which is a bladed jig, and that's how we caught them. And we figured after they quit biting that, maybe they would bite something a little slower on top of the grass.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, they never did. But
Did you throw the new V&M J-Bug in him?
we did. We flipped it a little bit. But the thing, honestly, the 3 days we fished our tournament, every day we caught our whitefish on something different.
Huh.
The first day we caught our fish on a chopstick, but the deal was there was other people flipping, you know, Senko style bait, stick bait. We were flipping the chopstick, but we were putting a spinner behind it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that made a huge difference, but we were catching behind people that were, you know, fishing the same bait, and that's how we caught them the first day. And every morning we start off by doing that, you know, maybe seeing if we can catch them.
Yeah.
And that's how we caught them the first day. The second day we caught them punching grass with the J-Bug.
Yeah. Well, the spinner on the back's
like
big Keith
1.5
Poche deal.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
and I've used it. It works.
Okay, you know, I want, because you brought it up, we just got a couple of minutes. You were last weekend over for the high school tournament on Toledo Bend. And from what Graf was told, fishing was really tough on Toledo this past weekend. What would you see while you were out marshaling?
I've never gone to Toledo Bend ever before and caught the small amount of fish that I caught. Because, you know, you go out there to Toledo Bend when it's on on the weekday or on its prime, like a really good day. I mean, you'll have a school of fish, you know, a couple hundred fish in a school of them, or they'll come to the top, you know, or, you know, you just can't not get a bite. Well, this week, I don't know if it was I'm pretty sure it had something to do with the moon
Yeah.
and the pressure.
Right.
But it was just insane. I mean, you go over a point, you see them on the grass, you turn around and throw at them, and you know your bait's going through the school of them, but they just would not eat it. But I heard that a night tournament, it also took 20 pounds to get 10th place on Saturday night. So
Yeah.
that kind of gave me the hint that all those bigger fish were eating earlier in the morning, late in the evening, or during the night.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was tough. But
You never even saw a school of fish break the surface.
we've seen some white bass come up to the top, but it's abnormal, you know, for Toledo Bend to not have it this time of the year in the summer heat, for them not to come to the top and start busting, you know, just randomly throughout the day. And we only saw that one time over a 3-day span.
Well, Johnny, and I think you'll agree with me on this, and I think Gary will too. You don't see the schooling activity like you used to see
Yeah.
10 years ago on
Right.
Toledo Bend.
Right.
Right. The only schooling activity I'll really see is, you know, a lot of white bass, but I do notice the black bass will be under them. You know, one of my favorite baits to throw out there, you know, for them is, you know, a big spoon
Right.
to just get past those white bass. And they'll hit it, but they won't eat it like a largemouth will.
Right.
You know, I'm not no expert on Toledo Bend like some of my friends are, and really good at, like, absolutely just great out there. But I do know I can usually catch fish, and I'm just shocked that it only took, you know, 14 to win a 100-boat tournament out there.
Yeah, I was too.
Well, congratulations, boys. Now, when is the national championship?
The end of July, we go, and it's on Green River Lake, Kentucky, which is a really small lake, and it's pretty close to Kentucky Lake. So I'm sure it'll fish small with that many boats on it, practicing on it for 3 or 4 days. But I guess we'll see what we can do there.
Oh, and also Johnny's the newest member of the Daiwa Pro Staff team.
Right.
Well, congratulations on that, brother.
I did catch those. Honestly, I did catch those fish, and it's all going to be on ESPN. All the final day we had a camera boat, and they watched us, and they actually saw us catch the 18 pounds all on camera and stuff. And I was throwing a Daiwa Chatula for real with 20-pound test. And
There you go.
Rod, so
Good job, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Congratulations, boys.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate y'all having us.
Northwestern
man.
State University fishing team, Johnny Leday and Justin Cooper just recently won the Carhartt Wild Card, headed to the national championship. And I'm sure that we're going to have some other local representation there as well. So as we get closer, we'll keep you posted as to
we will.
who's doing what and why. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show presented by Nichols Department Stores, Stephen Johnston Guide Service, and J&J Exterminating. Now offering their new mosquito-controlled system for your home. Speaking of pests, once again, here's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
We got some outdoor outlaws for you here in just a minute. First, though, a quick word from Louisiana CCA.
Yeah, if you thought Louisiana CCA was just about coastal projects, think again. The CCA is a statewide organization dedicated to protecting Louisiana's wetlands, from rebuilding our coastal wetlands to creating fish habitat for area lakes to creating star fishing tournament. The CCA is committed to making sure our coasts and waterways are protected for years to come. To learn more about CCA, go to ccalouisiana.com to find out more about all the projects and the latest activities going on.
Okie dokie. We've got some boys that have decided that they were going to step outside the law a little bit so that the rest of us could laugh at them, make fun of them on the radio. I mean, you would think that overall people would have learned by this point, if you do the crime, Graf's going to find out about it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some. We're gonna find out.
And God love you from that point forward, because you'll be getting Facebook messages about how stupid you are, and people making videos about you and stuff like. Ask Jay, he knows.
There you go.
No doubt about that.
Which one you want, Gary?
I have none. You didn't provide me with any, so you get to do them all.
What? You don't have a copy of that?
No, but that's okay.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Well, I'm not gonna read all these. All right, I'll do this one right here. Five-sided.
Everybody that's listening to the radio knows exactly which one you were pointing at right there. I'll do this one right here.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all blink if y'all agree. Five-sided for illegal frogging in Rapides Parish. Frogging, man. Illegal frogging, Gary. I mean,
well, there's a season.
What the heck?
There's a season.
Louisiana Department of Wild Fishery Enforcement Agent cited five subjects for alleged frogging violations on May 31st in Rapides Parish. Mickey Birch, 48, of Boyce. Jared Parker, 41, of Alexandria. Christopher Nabahali Bani, 27 of Alexandria.
Get that one on the Wheel of Fortune and
Yeah,
try to win.
exactly. Stuart Morgan, 27 of Pineville, are all cited for frogging during closed season. You're right. There's season.
Yeah.
Agents received a complaint about Birch harvesting frogs and posting a photo. There you go.
See?
That turns.
Got to brag
I'm
on
telling
Facebook.
you, people, man, got to learn.
Police officers nowadays never even have to get in their car. They just sit around on Facebook all day
All
long
they
and
gotta
go,
do is
yeah,
look-
we're going to go arrest this one right here.
Just look at social media. They brag on themselves and
Bunch
turn
of
themselves in.
dummies.
After observing the photo, agents made contact with Birch. Agents learned that Birch was frogging on the Red River on the night of May 30th and the morning of May 31st. The agents seized a total of 31 frogs. In separate case, agents found Parker and this Nabalani and Morgan frogging in a tributary off Bayou Boeuf on the night of May 31st.
Beth, Bayou Beth.
Is it Beth?
Yeah, Beth.
Upon making contact with the men, agents found them in possession of, 92 frogs.
Oh, they whooped on him, huh?
92 frogs.
They had a good night.
Son, what are they? Frogging during closed season brings up a fine of $250 to $500 and up to 90 days in jail.
I think they were only a couple of days early, too. I think
really?
it
June
started
1?
like June 1. Dummies.
Try to get a jump on everybody. Birch also faces up to $200 in civil restitution for the illegal taking of frogs. Statewide season is closed during the months of April and May.
Yeah.
So is it open the rest of the year?
To the best of my knowledge, yeah.
They couldn't wait.
Yeah, couldn't wait 2 days.
More days.
Oh, but dude, did you see all the frogs out there? We got to go.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, one of the things that's intriguing to me, there for the longest, you had to grab frogs. That's, when I was growing up, you had to grab them.
Right.
And then there for a while, they said that you could start using a frog gig again.
Right, the
But
three-prong deal.
Yeah, but then my boys told me the other day, no, you can't do that anymore. You got to grab them again.
Really?
So, yeah, you can't puncture the skin.
No gigging anymore.
No.
So you don't go frog gigging
Now,
anymore.
they made like this frog grabber thing.
Yeah.
That was, the one of those big old long things
Yeah,
they used to
yeah.
pick up trash.
Right.
And it'd slap them, and you could do that.
Huh.
And now when I was growing up, my daddy used to take me up and down the Red River or to Black Lake Halston. And Black Lake Halston had so many frogs in it. But we would go along. And my daddy was one of the few human beings that was either good enough or dumb enough. He could actually be a big old water moccasin with its eyes on the same frog we were looking at.
Ooh.
And my daddy could grab that frog. I mean, the moccasin be 6 inches away, and my daddy could grab that frog before that moccasin could even blink. It was unreal. And he'd always be, all right, you run that boat up there to the bank, and I'm going to grab it. And the minute that boat hits the bank, you put it in reverse. And you got a 9.8 Mercury. You ever tried to take a 9, you got to manually move. You ever tried to take that from forward into reverse in one fell swoop?
Yeah, really.
LDWF enforcement agents cited a Gibson man for allegedly possessing over the limit of black bass in Terrebonne Parish, June 5th. They cited Cody M. Smith, 32, after finding him in possession of 26 black bass, which put him 16 over the legal limit of 10 bass. Agents on patrol in what's the name of this place? Antille? Antill? Antille?
Yeah.
In
You're
the
asking
Antille
me how to
Canal.
pronounce them?
Well, I didn't know. At any rate, they observed a vessel. Why do, when the Wildlife and Fisheries writes these press releases, why don't they just say they saw a boat? I mean, just write it like a normal person.
It's a vessel.
They observed a vessel traveling south.
Sounds better.
After stopping the vessel, operated by Smith, to perform a safety check. Come on, boys. Agents observed several fishing poles and a 48-quart ice chest containing 26 black bass in the vessel.
Yeah, slightly over the limit.
Possessing over the limit of black bass brings $100 to $350 fine and up to 60 days in jail. I assume that's per fish.
I would think so.
Smith could also face civil restitution for the illegally taken black bass, totaling up to $215. Fish were seized and donated to a local charity. Daily limit is 10 a day. Anglers staying at camps for 3 days on the water may have up to 3 times the daily limit of black bass below the U.S. Highway 90 in coastal Louisiana, providing the fish are kept whole, gutted in separate bags for each daily take limit.
Yeah. See, I didn't know they had to be whole.
That's what it says.
I know. I didn't know
You
that.
can gut them,
Yeah.
but you got to leave each
Right.
day's limit in a separate bag.
Now, if me and you are doing it, they're being gutted and greased, so we won't even have them in possession.
That's what I was
They'll be
saying.
done. We ain't worried about.
We'll be waiting on the paperwork on those.
Exactly.
The bags must be marked with the date the fish were taken, the species and number of fish contained in the bag, and the name and recreational fishing license number of the person taking the fish.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
but think about that.
this goes to prove. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I understand and exactly fully appreciate what they're trying to do here.
Yeah,
But if a game warden wants to give you a ticket,
they're like OSHA.
dude,
They gonna find something.
I'm telling you right. I mean, all of a sudden you discover that your horn on your boat doesn't work and you don't have a whistle or one of those little air horns, or that you don't have enough. Listen, if you've got a boat like mine and yours, my Triton, your Ranger, if you've got a boat like ours, you have to have not just a throw cushion, a safety, U.S. Coast Guard approved throw cushion in it.
Right.
But it's got to have, I think, a minimum of 2 of the boat links of rope tied to that throw cushion.
The throw cushion.
Yeah.
Really? Well, I don't have that.
See?
So I'm in violation
I'm
already.
just telling you, you go out and you fish a tournament, and all of a sudden the tournament director decides he doesn't like you.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me see the rope hooked to your throw cushion. Do what?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Well, and by the way, I want to remind everybody, because this is something that gets people. When does Louisiana license? When does it run out?
June 30.
June
it expires.
30th.
But you know what? You can go online right now.
Right now. I already did.
la.wildlifelicense.com. You go online, you go ahead and get your hunting, your fishing, and everything. You can print it out right there at the house now.
Yeah.
I think you still have to go into like Walmart and get your deer tags.
But you know what I couldn't get?
What?
That I had on my last year license? My duck stamp. It did not give me an option to get my duck stamp.
The Louisiana duck stamp?
Yeah, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Normally it gives you the option, duck stamp, small game,
Did you
big
do
game.
Did you do the HIPAA certification? Because you got to get that just to be able to dove hunt. I found out it doesn't cost you anything if you
No.
don't get the HIPAA.
You just got to answer the
You're
question.
in violation of dove hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another way that the game wardens are looking for you.
Exactly. So, but again, June 30th, it's over. So make sure you get your new license renewed.
And if you get it now,
Yeah.
it's already good. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of like you get 13 months on a 12-month license.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think they make it good 30 days in advance of the date it expires. So basically, by June 1, you can go ahead and get your new license for the next year.
Right, exactly.
So, but anyway, and then in Texas, it runs out, I believe, August 31st.
31. Yeah, August 31.
To me, I like that better because to me, the start of the new year is still opening day of dove season. That's the first day of the new hunting, fishing year for me. That's how I look at it. Maybe it's because I'm from Texas. I
Well,
know.
you don't live south of Alexandria where they make all of God's laws.
Well, that's true.
Okay.
You're right. We really don't have a say-so.
I mean, the 10 Commandments were written somewhere in Terrebonne Parish. That's what I heard. Anyway,
yeah, by some drunk judges.
you got another outdoor outlaw? or no?
Let's see here. What do I have?
No,
yes, I
apparently
do.
not.
No, I do have something I want to go
Okay.
over real quick because this is a good time to bring this up. Louisiana Operation Game Thief issued $9,600 in rewards this past year. That's incredible. $9,600. I was proud to see that. Louisiana Crime
Well, you and I
Stoppers-
got half of that for turning in Eccles. So
That's why he's not here. We had him shipped down to the Caribbean.
he's down there with some Jamaican with funny looking stuff in his hair.
Yeah, he's trying to sing to people for a quarter down
He
there.
got them little beads in his
Yeah.
hair right now. Eccles does.
They got awarded $9,600 to diligent citizens statewide for their quarterly meeting May 21st in Woodworth. The LO, Louisiana Operation Game Thief Board, reviewed a total of 20 cases that included public tips from informants. A total of 30 subjects were apprehended, and a total of 329 offenses were written in regards to the reviewed cases. And half of these, I think, were because of social media.
I was going to say, and half of those are on Facebook.
So congratulations. That's why this program is in place, folks. Utilize it. It's toll-free, Operation Game Thief. The hotline is 800-442-2511. Put it in your cell phone. Leave it in there. If you ever need it, you see somebody they're breaking the law, whether it's Eccles or McCoy, call on them. Let people know what they're doing wrong. Eccles is more likely to get caught than McCoy.
Well, if I get caught, it's because I'm with you. Hang on. We're going to talk to Stephen Johnston and get a Toledo Bend report for you here in just a minute. Of course, Mike Eccles is out this week, but we're going to find out from Stephen exactly why he thinks maybe the fishing was rough last week for the high school anglers.
He can tell us.
And has it improved this week on the Bend? We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
Up a lady, but there's one thing they couldn't avoid. Ladies love country boys.
You gonna catch that one or?
Welcome back. This segment presented by Santone Lures, Toledo Bend Lake Country, Red River Waterway Commission, and Ranger Boats. Still building legends one at a time. Now back to the three best outdoorsmen of the radio world. It's Gary McCoy, Steve Graff, and Mike Eccles.
Well, we got no choice.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Hooking Up and Tracking Down. Ranger Boat Pro staffer Steve Graff. McCoy has stepped out for just a minute. And but real quick, we have the man of the hour. The man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Lucas Oil Pro, Stephen Johnston from Toledo Bend. Stephen, what's going on at the Bend this weekend?
Well, it's kind of calmed down a little bit for a change. I mean, I went past 6 Mile boat ramp yesterday on the way home. I almost took a picture because there was not anybody there.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's it's just that time of the year. You know, everybody's doing some different vacationing, and the kids out of school, and the fish kind of are in that summer lull. It's water temps up to almost 90, and it's getting a little tougher to catch them. I've been sockeye fishing just about every day for the last 2 weeks, and that's where I was last week. I apologize. I was in the fish house cleaning fish when the phone was ringing, and one of my clients said, "Man, your phone's ringing," and I said, "Oh, it rings all the time. Don't worry about it." I apologize again for messing that up last week.
Hey, we all have those lapses every now and then. So, but one thing I want to, one direction I want to go with you today, Stephen, if you don't mind. I talked to Gary about it in the first segment today. I was at Sam Rayburn this past weekend, had a little over 14 pounds, did okay, blah, blah, blah. What really was disturbing to me, though, Stephen, was the number of fish that we lost in that event. We lost a total of 68 bass at the weigh-in.
And that's a deal that I mean, it's a bad deal all the way around because I'm a person that I want some more summer events. And
do you really?
Something that, yeah, I do. I mean, because if you look at just about all our events are jammed in on top of each other. I mean, they start in January. Hang on just 1 second. Well, I'm sorry. They start. I was looking at my customer. Got one. I forgot what he got on.
Hey, if you're catching fish, we'll do a pause.
Yeah, it is. He he just both swung one about a pound and a quarter. So
there you go.
I think he got a trash your bass on this one. But but the whole deal is we need some more summer events. But on those summer events, we need to work harder as anglers, and we need to teach other anglers, you know, how to help the fish out. You know, how to freeze ice. You know, I take lake water on all those summer events and put them in Gatorade bottles and freeze them. You know, a lot of people, you know, use ice and this and that, but you know, you've got to take care. You got to take care of the catch and the other thing. Not knocking any of the organizations, but a lot of times the organizations aren't. You know, they don't have the equipment. They don't have the release boats. They don't have the, you know, the proper stuff to take care of the fish. You know, it's hard on all of them. You know, dumping them off the, you know, boat ramp or
right.
You know, just, you know, it's a
I think
not a good situation.
I think you touched on something there, and Gary and I talked on. I said in the first segment. I think a lot of it is just the lack of effort by fishermen or lack of knowledge by fishermen to know, because at these events, which you and I both fish, we fish against each other sometimes, BFLs, we're not talking some bunch of John boats out there that have these homemade aerator systems. We're talking top-of-the-line Rangers, Skeeters, Tritons. I mean, these are boats that have well-equipped live wells. I think it's angler neglect and just not paying attention to what's going on with your fish.
And one thing too, I think it just needs to be, you know, taught even with the, you know, a lot of the older guys. I mean, even with the high school kids coming up, you know, there needs to be some more, you know, teaching about fizzing fish. If you catch fish, you know, deep, you know, how to needle a fish. But the biggest deal in the summertime, like at Rayburn, I promise you, 90% of those fish at Rayburn last week, you know, came up there on the dirt. You know,
no doubt they were in the bushes. I mean, that's where I caught a lot of my fish.
You know, but when I'm sitting there looking at my Humminbird unit, it's 88.9 water temp right now, so it's hot. You know, and just about all of our boats now have oxygenator systems in them. You know,
yeah.
And if you don't have one, you can get one to put in. But the other thing is just the ice. You don't want to put too much ice in there and shock them, but you could just gradually, you know, put ice.
Well, there's a new product on the market. It's been out for a couple of years now, Stephen, and it's those Arctic ice packs. Those things are awesome. I keep 2 or 3 of those in my cooler, and it's easy to grab. They got a little built-in handle. You pick a sucker up, drop it in there, and you're not diluting the water with more ice or any type of chlorinated water. It's strictly just an ice pack, and once it melts, I just pull it out and I pull out another one, put another one in there. They stay frozen for a long time.
Yeah, and that's it. And, you know, way back in the day, I haven't put it in mine in several years, but Matt Reed and Ricky Frederick, you know, back in the Angler's Choice days, I'm, you know, talking 20 years ago, they had 2 temp gauges. Back then, Lowrance, you know, we didn't have anything on the unit. You know, you just had a small temp gauge wherever you put it. They had a temp gauge that they kept in their live well all the time.
Yeah.
And they would watch that temp, and they would add ice and just watch those fish and take care of those fish.
Right.
You know, so it's something that I think you know it's on our part, you know, as angler part, you know, but the other thing too, it's on the tournament organization too to be able to, you know, take care of those fish after the anglers take care of them.
Right.
You know,
right.
Put them in the right position to get them back out there. You can't take one of those BFL tournaments. I'm just going to throw that out there because you mentioned it, and there's 150 of us fishing, you know, plus 150 co-anglers, and then you add all those, you know, fish, and then if you have a big catch like that, and next thing you know, man, that's a, it's not, we're not talking about 10, 11 pounds of fish a person. We're talking about a lot more than that.
Yeah.
You know, you do that, you know, once a month or, you know, every other month, it's a huge deal, and you know, Mother Nature can't keep up with that either. It's something that we're going to have to, you know, push on. But, you know, even in the wintertime, when those fish are up there spawning, you know, I'm not saying we lose a lot of fish, but, you know, you're going to lose some. You know, you're going to, you know, there's just nothing you can, you know, do about it. But the summer and the fall tournaments is something that we really need to push on it, because it's almost at the point now, if you look at the the tournament schedules for next year that are already coming out, they're jammed in from February till May. I mean, they're just jammed in on top of each other. There's something going every weekend. Well, you know, I mean, we need some other, you know, tournaments, other parts of the year for a tackle shop, for, you know, for us selling boats. For, you know,
Well, Stephen, would you be a proponent of a reduced creel limit for those tournaments?
Well, you know, I'm just Bass Champs did that several years ago. They did it where it was on 3 fish.
Yeah.
It was a huge deal, and I know out there at Amstead and Packard in the summertime, they do that, and 3 fish is a lot better. You know, years ago, back in the day, Bass and Bucks did it. You know, a lot of guys didn't like it because if somebody would catch 8 or 9 pounder, you know, 1 fish would be a huge advantage. You know, but you know, the whole deal is that, you know, you still got to catch big ones, but you know, it's just taking care of our you know, resources, what we got.
Well, here's the other thing that happened to us last weekend. We fished almost 9 hours from basically 5:45 till 3 o'clock, and then some guys didn't have a weigh until almost 4. So they was fishing a box almost for 10 hours. To me, Stephen, that's just way too long.
It really is. And that's just something that, you know, we just have to, you know, work more with the tournament organization, you know, plus with the, teaching the anglers how to take care of them. You're going to catch one every now and then. You know, you're going to hook one deep.
Oh, no doubt.
Or you're going to hook one hard in the bushes and jerk, and he's going to hit the side of the boat. And you don't want a turtle to eat him. You
Right.
don't. You know, you want somebody else to eat him. But we don't want to see fish go to waste either.
Well, when you see 68 bass in one tournament compared to when I added up total fish lost in both January, March, and April, February, March, April, lost 1 fish in those 3 months, and we lose 68 in one tournament. I mean, that just doesn't bode well.
Yeah, it's you know, it's hard. You know, it is. But you know, I kind of go both ways. You know, on it, saying that, you know, I'm a man. I hate throwing at the bank. Anybody that's ever fished with me or fished around me, if I'm throwing at the bank, it just drives me nuts. I love fishing offshore, and it's got to the point we don't have any tournaments anymore.
Well, aren't we being a little self-centered on that? I mean, does it necessarily have to be bass? Couldn't it be, you know, a crappie tournament?
Well, yeah, you know, you could change, you know, some of it, but I think it still comes back down to taking care of the fish, and kind of like Steve was saying a while ago, that, you know, shortening the hours, or, you know, Bass and Bucks did it years ago. I'm going to throw my, you know, stepson out there, and they had the scales open all day long, you know, through the whole tournament.
Oh, that's a great idea.
In our tournament. Yeah, he caught 3 7-pounders the first 30 minutes, went in, weighed those 3 7-pounders, and turned around and went back out. So, so that's a different way to, to look at it. And just,
Wow.
You know, it's going to take some effort, you know, on both sides, for the anglers and for us. Look, go right in front of you, Galen. So, you know, just trying to get it, you know, all the way around.
You need to get the net?
No, we're sitting here drifting around trying to keep them. Man, the Sockeye just not fighting that good today. I mean, let's see, what is it?
Well, we heard that the bass weren't biting that great last week. Are they doing better this week?
A little bit, but it's still not good. We just don't have any flow. You know, we've got one generator still broke, and we got one, you know, dumping. But with the flow that's still coming in the creek, you know, the water just really hasn't moved at all. And we've had some calm days. It's been like concrete out here the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've got a little breeze, you know, today. But hey, there's still some fishing, but you've got the full moon, too, going on there.
Oh, you
Right.
bet. Stephen, if somebody wants to come fishing with you, what do we got? We got about 30 seconds.
All right, look, you can look me up on the website. On the internet, it's www.johnstonfishing.com. Look me up on Facebook, and on the Facebook it's johnstonfishing.com, or you can give me a shout on my home number, which is 409-579-4213.
Lucas Pro Stephen Johnston, if you want to go to the Bend, #1 bass fishing lake in America 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Stephen, amen. And first time ever, Stephen can make it happen for you. Give him a buzz. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Hooking up and tracking down 1130, the Tiger.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, presented by Coastal Conservation Association of Louisiana, Cypress Knee Outdoors, and Lake Fork Guide Johnny Geis, the 2015 and 2016 Lake Fork Guide of the Year. Now back to the best outdoor show in America with Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Gary McCoy, along with the old Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff. Mike, the old mud hen Eccles, is out this week. He's on a big John boat somewhere in the middle of the Caribbean down there, hanging out with those Jamaicans down there. I don't know what they're doing, but God love them. I mean, if they ever figure out what it is that Eccles is saying, they're gonna have a blast with our boy.
I'm telling you.
Hey, listen, big news around here, obviously, is that BASS just named, again, our own Toledo Bend, the second best bass fishing lake in the entire country. 2 years in a row. Never happened on the BASS Top 100.
Did you say second best?
No, the second time.
Oh.
Hank, did I say second?
I might have to say you did, but I was going to tell you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay. Well, okay, for the second time. Hank, you're not supposed to agree with him. You know, he's like feeding a stray. We won't ever get him to go home and go away if you agree with him. But on the phone with us from BASS, the National High School Director, Hank Weldon. Hank, you kind of grew up in this business.
Yeah, I did. Fortunately, my old man, Trip Weldon, he's been with bass since 1990, and so I've been around the sport. I'm 31 years old, but I've been around it for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't realize he'd been doing it since 1990. Wow.
It's been a couple of days.
Yeah, it has been a couple
So,
of days.
Hank, as BASS pushed the initiative to increase, the younger anglers, through the collegiate ranks and into the high school ranks, that's probably the fastest growing segment of the fishing population, isn't it?
Oh, I think, yeah, easily. We always tout it that way. We're double the number each year, over double with high school again this year. We hit our high school number when we closed out 2015. We hit that number in March this year. That's how fast high school is growing. And we've got a big junior initiative too, and we're just trying as much as we can to introduce youngsters into bass fishing and then into competitive bass fishing if they want to venture out into that too. So,
is there an etiquette class?
Yeah, all you can handle.
Is there an etiquette class within the ranks of that? Where just the subtle nuances of competitive tournament fishing are expressed. No hole jumping and none of this kind of stuff. Just things that older guys already know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we always task our boat captains and coaches to do that, and we cover a good chunk of that extensively in our pre-tournament briefings, talk about being good sportsmen out on the water, etc. And then at our championship, we have certain things. We have a high school elite experience that kids can partake in, and so forth. And then we have a pamphlet, that kind of goes through those unwritten rules that you are talking about. So yeah, there are things that exist, and that's one of our main goals. Is not just to teach kids how to be competitive and to win, because there's so much more into it than that in bass fishing, because there's only going to be one winner at every tournament, and everybody else is going to fall a little bit short of that. So we want them to take a positive experience away.
Well, one thing, I'm going to play devil's advocate here real quick, and I want to let's look at this whole perspective now. When I look at and this just hit me sitting here, I've been thinking about this, which is scary.
Usually he's just constipated, but this time he was really thinking.
I was really thinking. Hank, is this getting, and can it get too big? I look at how many tournaments were on the waterways to begin with. Now we're adding high school kids, and at Sam Rayburn they had over 400 boats the same weekend you had your deal. I'm just like, what the heck? How much pressure can these lakes handle?
Right. Yeah. I think we can still grow way bigger than this, because with the simple fact, if we have people out there practicing catch and release, that's really what it's all about.
Right.
It can be caught again. Our ideal view in this, from a competition stance, is it's really starting to turn into more of like the Little League World Series kind of thing, where our national championship would be that World Series, and then we have leagues across the entire country running their own events that lead to that. And we've already started that with our sanctioned team trails, and if we can continue to build momentum and really get that established, which I think we will. I think we're about 2 years out from really having something big in that regards. You think about all 400, 500 boat tournaments in every state
right
weekend. You know?
Right.
So
is there talk of maybe doing a lot more with the Bassmaster Classic and having the high schoolers and more involved at that time? Maybe having 2 tournaments in one.
At the classic.
At the Classic.
You know, we don't want to lose sight of that is the professional ranks. You know, so
right.
we want to keep that separate in terms. You know, you don't have a Pee Wee championship at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
So there is a difference there, and then also to that end, you don't want to take away from what their championship would be like with all the assets we pour into the Classic. We would rather run a separate event, you know, in some time where we can really focus on that and give these kids an event that they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Right.
So in what capacity, you know, as you look into the future, if you've got your crystal ball right there, in what capacity are these kids going to be shooting for? Goals for this organization on a high school level? I mean, will there be eventually a point where maybe a high schooler could compete in the Classic?
I don't think that's out of it. I think if that ever happens, they will compete like an amateur does at the Masters or something like that, where they are not eligible to win those cash dollars.
Okay.
You know, I think something more feasible would be, because the college series is becoming even more defined as we go too, will be, you know, we're giving away scholarships. So we're having certain schools come and recruit at our high school events for those college teams. So that's really where I see it going. Is it's just a step to the next level. And you know, I think advancement into a college program, and then those college anglers that advance to the minor leagues, the AAA, the Bass Pro Shops, Bassmaster Opens, and then on to the Elite Series. It's just the stepping stones to become an elite angler, I feel, is just more defined than it ever has been before. With now we offer a platform when you're in second grade all the way until you're 95 years old, if you want to be able to fish with friends, compete on tournament level, or just you know, be passionate about bass fishing.
You just brought something up that I was again have been thinking, where is this going with the Elite Series? You know, it's an ageless sport. In other words, you can be 75 years old and still go fish in the Elite Series if you're good enough.
Ask Rick Clunt about that.
Yeah. Where is this going to go? As these high school kids get into college, and then a lot of them want to pursue, and these college anglers pursue the professional level, is BASS in the Elite Series going to have to expand to more people involved?
You know, I'm not necessarily the perfect person to answer that, but I don't think so. I think that number is probably going to stay where it is. It's just the caliber of anglers is only going to get stronger. I mean, you look at all the college anglers who are in there now: Jordan Lee, Matt Lee, Brett Pruitt, John Hunter, you know, who came directly from that college series 1 year on the Opens. You know, we feel like we had trained them well enough fishing on that college series level. Now that they stepped into the Opens, don't say it was easy, but it wasn't as hard as it has been before, because they were already familiar with what it's like to compete, you know, in tournaments like that. So,
well, I see.
It's just.
I mean, I'm gonna disagree with you to a point, because I see this being like golf. You have the Senior Pro Tour, and then you have the regular Pro Tour, the PGA Tour. I see BASS having to maybe separate and say, okay, we're gonna have an Elite Series, Senior Pro Tour. I just think there's going to be so much competition for anglers and so much competition for sponsorship and more companies jumping on board with these young kids coming up, that there's going to have to be a place for these people to go. And there's only FLW and BASS. I just see it getting so much bigger than what it is.
Well, and I'll say, if you're right, I hope you're right, because that's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, yeah. Again, I hope you're right. You know, and that would be a true product.
Well, you know,
youngsters into fishing.
Finances are going to dictate a lot of that,
Oh,
Stevie.
yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah.
when you're competing on the elite level, you got to understand you're talking about $100,000 a year commitment, from the angler and his affiliated sponsors. I mean, that's a chunk of change by the time you've toured and paid for gas and paid for motel rooms and entry fees
But what I'm saying, I've been around enough of these high school kids and been involved with a couple of high school teams. These parents will help foot the bill. They'll do what they got to do to make their child successful. And a lot of it's going to be putting up money. And I think there's going to be a lot of parents that are going to be willing to do it.
What I also know outside of that is, if I always, at the beginning of the year at a high school briefing, I ask them, how many of you guys want to become a professional angler?
Every one of them.
90% of them raise their hand.
Yeah.
However, you look at it now, there are several that we are sending from the college series into those professional careers outside of fishing. They're going to work for those endemic sponsors. Humminbird, they're hiring several engineering degrees. Yamaha is hiring a lot of marketing degrees. So we're not only maybe grooming them to be a pro angler, we're keeping them in the industry and shape that side of the business too. So,
that's a good thing.
That's the unseen part that we probably offer more opportunities that way than we do of becoming an elite angler.
That's a great idea.
Well, one of the things that BASS has to consider is you're still a business. I mean, Jerry McInnes is as good a businessman as there ever was. But at some point, if it doesn't make you money or it doesn't make you the kind of money that you want it to, then you've got to re-examine things.
Right.
Is this as profitable for you as you could see? Is this as profitable as you could hope for, and be able to keep it included in the fold, if you will?
Oh, absolutely, from the young age, because we, it's driving that membership number up, and it's a direct reach from those sponsors who do jump on board with us. One of my goals is the average bass member age is 46 years of age. So, out of 500,000 people, that's that mean. Mm-hmm. Well, the more people I bring in, my internal goal was to drop that number, and every person I bring to the table is going to be under that number. And it's just that average member is 46, so really that's an incremental number that we bring to the table with these youngsters joining up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's economically that's a good shot in the arm with BASS. Kids that otherwise, let's face it, 4 or 5 years ago, none of these kids would have signed up under BASS and become a member, but now they're all becoming members.
Okay, Hank, I want to give you 60 seconds to tell us how wonderful our Toledo Bend is.
Oh, that's an unbelievable lake. Unfortunately, as big as it was, it couldn't hold all the water that it had presented to it in March when we were originally scheduled, but it still didn't disappoint. We had several 6.5 pounders, 7 pounders caught, and every time we go there, everybody wants to come and fish it. And I think it's going to become kind of a steady stop within the high school ranks, and we might be bringing another college series there next year. There's your little foreshadowing. So the people are great, the food's great, and it's just a wonderful place to go to.
You couldn't foreshadow with a possible month, could you?
Maybe pre-classic.
Okay.
Oh, heck.
Ones are getting ready.
Yeah,
that's cool.
February.
Okay.
It might be.
That'd be a good time to be on Toledo Bend,
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking. There's not a bad time, but if you had to pick a time, I know that's probably one of the better ones.
Hank, good job, man. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate you guys. I'll come on anytime. Y'all take care.
We are certainly appreciative of your time. BASS High School Director Hank Weldon, and the things they have accomplished on a high school collegiate level with BASS, unbelievable. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, that is the future of our sport. Yeah. And if you think that we're going to make it without fueling that fire, you are so terribly
This list
wrong.
of names right here that participated in this event, this is just page 1 of 50 teams. Well, there's some elite series anglers that's going to come out of this list.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So
we are hooking up and tracking down. Sit tight here in just a minute. Our Gamakatsu question of the day. It's next. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger.
Welcome back to Hooking Up and Tracking Down. This segment presented by Bob Seeley Outdoors, Daiwa Rods and Reels, Sam Rayburn Marina Resort, and Toledo Town and Tackle, the largest tackle box on the Bend. AM 1130 The Tiger would like to remind you that the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show is now airing twice each week. So tune in every Saturday morning from 6 to 8 for another round of Outdoors Radio. Once again, here's Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff.
Way to go there, Jay. Just tell Elizabeth to shut up in front of everybody.
Cut her off.
You know, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, you did. I'm telling her. I am. And she'll whoop your butt.
I know.
He's scared.
We are hooking up and tracking down. And here in just a minute, our Gamakatsu question of the day. First, though, a little word from Daiwa.
Looking for high-quality rods and reels, make sure you take the time to look at everything Daiwa has to offer. Popular models like the Steez, the Zillion, and their latest series, the Tatula. Quality, innovation, and durability makes the entire Daiwa lineup hard to beat. With so many models to choose from, Daiwa is sure to have the combo that fits your budget. Go to Daiwa.com to learn more or check them out at Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Cypress Knee Outdoors, or Toledo Town and Tackle. Daiwa, where quality and technology all come together.
Okay, this is something that Graff and I were actually talking about last night. It's our Gamakatsu question of the day. How important is it to find vegetation this time of the year, and does all vegetation hold fish? And I'm going to tell you, no, all vegetation does not hold fish. It's just kind of like old Buck Perry. You know, when he wrote the book Spoon Plugging, he said you cannot have fish without structure. And a lot of people consider cover structure.
Right.
It is not. No. Cover is not structure.
Some people think a brush top is structure.
That's cover.
That's cover. That's right.
Yeah. Buck Perry says you cannot have fish without structure, but all structure does not have fish.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Fish aren't going to be there unless there's structure, but not every piece of structure out there has fish on it.
Not every ridge or hump or ditch are going to have fish in it.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, the thing that you have to understand with vegetation is what Graff and I were talking about. I was over on Lake Fork, I guess it was last week and the week before. And there was a certain kind of grass that was over there. There was some alligator grass growing in, but there was like a pond weed that was growing in certain areas. And, dude,
they were in it.
They were in it.
Yeah.
They would hammer a frog. You think about now. Here we are on Caddo Lake, Lake Bistineau. You know, we've been stricken with giant salvinia.
Oh, man.
And I have caught myself actually searching for more salvinia to catch frogfish.
But there's a key there.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, I did find that in a couple of places, and I talked. My Sunday school teacher works for Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and he said that they have done a little spraying in a couple of spots. And I'm going to tell you, if you run across that old brown dead salvinia, there is nothing there.
You better get out.
Yeah.
But and people have asked me why. Because the oxygen's been depleted out of a decaying plant burns up a lot of oxygen.
But you say that, like over on Rayburn, you couldn't hardly catch a fish out of the willows. You and I were killing them in the willows on Lake Fork.
Yeah.
But there was a plant there that you don't know the name of it, but they were loaded with fish.
It was a bush, and again, I wish, I need to look it up. I may need to talk to Stephen. Maybe Stephen can tell me what that bush is. But it's funny how sometimes, and we don't know why, fish will get in the willows. Fish will get on a cypress tree. Fish will get in hydrilla. Fish will get in the alligator grass. Fish will get in pepper grass. And you wonder what constitutes, what makes them get in one or prefer one or the other.
Depth,
and I
structure,
and I think water temperature has a lot to do.
Let me tell you what. Back in the day, down at 1215, when that was the only place I fished on Toledo Bend. If you found where the coontail fell off into hydrilla, that line between the coontail and the hydrilla, every bass in the world lived right there. And it wasn't because it was the two types of grass. It was because you had great cover on structure. The bottom changed. It dropped off. The hydrilla wouldn't grow any shallower than 5 or 6 feet, and the coontail wouldn't grow any deeper. So the two met right there, and you had a natural little line that you could fish along there.
Right.
And the eelgrass, peppergrass will do the same thing. That's what a lot of the fish were on Lake Fork right now, is in the peppergrass.
Another thing you've alluded to just now when you said line, another thing I think of when you say that is the thermocline.
Sure.
That line is so important because the fish won't get below the thermocline.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to go below that because there's no oxygen. That's why that's that level.
But you really don't see that in 5-6 foot of water.
You don't in the shallow bodies of water, but if you're going to fish deep at Rayburn or deep at Toledo Bend in 25, 30 foot of water, where a lot of the guys that I competed against this last week,
That's
they
where
were
they were.
fishing brush tops in 25 to 30 foot of water.
Right.
What I meant to ask Stephen a while ago is, do you have to fizz a fish on Rayburn or Toledo out of that depth of water, or does it need to be like in Arkansas where they're coming out of 40 plus or 50 plus?
I would bet you 25 foot you're safe.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
That would have been a good question though.
And for
Stephen.
anybody that doesn't know, fizzing is what Stephen was talking about in
Yeah.
the protection of the fish, where you take a hypodermic, you stick the needle in, and I can't remember the exact count how far you come down to hit the air bladder in the fish,
Right.
and you let that air fizz out,
Right.
and it'll maintain the fish's survivability. You know, one of the things that I learned. Joe and Gerald Humphreys a long time ago over on Cross Lake, and we had just first got Florida bass in Cross Lake. And they were telling me that, it was unbelievable to them how different a Florida bass was than a northern bass, one of our native northern bass. Those Florida bass, when it is the harshest of conditions, it's either 150 degrees or it's 25 below.
Right.
What do those Florida bass do? They go shallow.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
they
pulling
get
up.
so shallow in the
see
summer.
their back.
Hey, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And in the summer months, and if you're a Cross Lake hand, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you a little trick, something that you probably already know. Those fish don't necessarily move out to that 9, 12 foot of water. If those good fish will move up on those shaded humps. They're going by water temperature, and they will get up there so shallow. It's unbelievable. Why in the world that fish is that? And why they'll do it on Caddo Lake, the big Floridas will do the same thing in January when the water temperature is 45 degrees. Why is she in the water a foot deep?
Right.
There's no rationale other than they're just different than what we used to have.
Yeah, that's true.
But as far as the vegetation goes, I honestly believe that this time of the year, if you're far from it, you're not fishing in the right spot.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, even this past weekend when I was fishing at Rayburn, there was some pepper grass, there was some pencil grass. The pencil grass and hay grass. Hay grass is a big part of both, to me, Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend now. You know, as we didn't have it that much on the north end from 12-15 up this year.
No.
But from the bridge south, there were points that were 25 foot wide of hay grass.
I was going to ask you, how deep will that hay grass survive?
Up to 8 to 10 foot.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It'll grow out 8 to 10 foot, and then there's an edge.
And it comes back every year?
It seems to be coming back every year. It started when all the lakes went way down, and all of a sudden they come up.
Right.
And when they did, this hay grass just popped up, and I mean, it's it ain't going nowhere, I don't think.
Do you think that Rayburn, Toledo, any of our lakes will ever see hydrilla again?
Yeah, I think they will. The key to it is getting sunlight to penetrate the bottom for a consistent period of time where the water's clear enough and allows that sunlight to penetrate, which is usually 10 foot or less on our area lakes. As we all know, we live in stained water areas. But when the lake does clear up and you get just a little bit of vegetation, it'll all come back eventually. You know, even like in the Converse area where all we've heard is there's no grass up there in that Converse area. It's because it stayed muddy for so long. It killed all the vegetation. The mud and the high water and stained water all the time. They never got a chance to grab hold. There will come a day when the lake's going to settle back down and that light's going to penetrate again, and we'll have maybe some drought periods again that's going to allow that grass to come back.
I thought it was the drought that took out the hydrilla.
Well, the drought did take the hydro, but I'm saying the lake went down 10 to 12 feet.
Yeah.
Now, if we just have a dry period of like 2 or 3 months, and the lake doesn't drop 10 or 12 feet, just drops a couple of feet, as long as there's still water in those areas on that, and that sun can penetrate.
So you think hydrilla seed is still on the bed of that lake?
Yes, no doubt. The lake I live on, supposedly, Sibley Lake in Natchitoches, they had dropped pellets and sterilized the whole bottom of the lake. Well, I'm not making it a huge announcement here, but I got news for them. There's some hydrilla around my house.
Really?
And I ain't telling nobody. So I'm not calling Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries to come, hey, I got hydrilla around my house, come get it.
Yeah.
So, because it holds fish. I'm catching fish off my dock.
Do you think that if you were to look at all the vegetation that was ever in a body of water, that hydrilla was the fisherman's number one friend? Would you say is that true or false?
I think it's true because I think it gives the bait fish a place to hide. You know, it gives the fry a place to.
Now, what about these biologists that would say, man, you got to have carp. You got to kill all of that hydrilla.
You still have to have some type of cover for your bait fish.
Yeah.
They've got to have something to hide in. I mean, otherwise the predators, the bigger fish, are just going to gobble them up. I mean, there's not going to be, whether it's brush tops, whether it's grass, whatever it is, they got to have some type of cover. You know, and that's one of the recommendations we heard about Eagle Lake up here.
Exactly.
Take all the grass out, put some brush tops, use brush as your cover.
Right.
Which I thought was a great idea, but again, how many lakes? Let's look at Black Lake. What happened at Black Lake when the grass came back on the north end? And I mean, when it came back strong.
Yeah.
The weights in the spring, if you ain't got a 28 to 30 pound bag, you're not going to come close to winning a tournament on Black Lake. And I think it's because of the grass. I think that has a big impact on fish survival and longevity of fish staying in the body of water. They get less fishing pressure because a lot of fishermen don't like to fish it.
You know, there's a lot of guys that were seeing a grass they thought was hydrilla there in Caddo, and you and I had a chance to talk to Johnny Geis about it. We're going to have him on here in just a couple of minutes. But it had also showed up in Lake Fork, and it looks like a thinner version of hydrilla, but Johnny called it choppa.
Yeah, and I never heard that before.
And he said it just doesn't make it through the hot summer months.
And it was kind of a comment of what, coontail and something else.
Well, it
maybe?
looked like a hydrilla. It just looked like a really thin-looking hydrilla. You know, like
but with hydrilla, you know, it's got a canopy on
right,
top,
it didn't
and
have that.
then it's got a long stem.
Yeah,
but you're right. It was constant all the way down that whole stem.
So if it doesn't make it through the summer, and you were catching fish out of it before that, that means at some point that choppa's going to die.
Oh yeah.
So what areas do you want to avoid when that stuff is starting to die?
And I think another thing, too, as an angler, I look at when I snag, say I'm throwing a crankbait and I snag some hydrilla and I pull it
green.
up and it's good and solid. I mean, that bright green, oh, you're in the right spot, brother.
If it's not?
I get excited. I get the shakes. But when it's not, when it's starting to turn brown and that light, dark green, I'm like, oh, this ain't good.
We just mentioned Lake Fork guy Johnny Geis. He is next. You sit tight. We'll find out what's going on Lake Fork. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
Please just remember, right or wrong, I'm still in love with you.
Once again, you're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show presented by Natchitoches Ford, Specialty Track Co. of Shreveport, Gamakatsu Hooks, and Paul's Farm and Garden, your feed and seed headquarters for the Arklatex. Now back to the guys who probably need to cut back on the feed themselves. It's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. Gary McCoy, the old mud hen. Mike Eccles is in the Caribbean trying to catch brim. You know, I'm thinking that he's somewhere around Jamaica looking for.
What's that chicken they eat down there? Some kind of chicken. What do they call that?
What's a chicken to eat?
No, what's that? They call it some kind of chicken.
Oh, pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
No, it's what is that chicken? They got
pulled chicken.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
I've had that. Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, Johnny Geis is on the phone from Lake Fork. Johnny, you know what we're talking about?
Some kind of chicken, but I never heard of it before.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
It's good. But you know what? And the best kind they make is like these little dumps that your tour bus stops at on the way you're going somewhere, and they stop at this place, and you're like, I don't even want to go to
Like
the
an old
bathroom
gas
here.
station or something, yeah.
And man, that stuff is jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken, that's it.
That's it.
That's it, jerk
It is
chicken.
good stuff. Well, Johnny, I was talking a little bit earlier in the show about our trip last Friday over with Steve Nichols. Wouldn't you say Steve Nichols just makes you feel like a better man when you hang around him?
Oh yeah, he's you just like you known him all your life, and a lot of customers get that way in the boat. It's just good people.
Yeah. Well, you're blessed in that. I mentioned on my Facebook page the other day, we didn't have the greatest day in the world, but our best five still weighed 29 pounds. That's awesome when that's a bad day.
I was going to ask you, how did y'all do?
We had biggest five went around 29. Now Johnny smoked us because I think all three of the fish that Johnny boated like back to back to back were all like 6.5 pounds.
You got to watch that guy, man.
He'll front end you.
Oh, big time. Big time.
I had a customer, I think Saturday, and he called it 18 up. Of course, if I get feeling one's getting a bite, I pass to the customer. And the only one that I swung on all day weighed 9 pounds, and I caught it on the brim head. So go figure.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Johnny, I got 2 young bucks I'm bringing over to you. They're my 2 inherited grandkids that I'm fixing to take on. And I'm telling you right now, they can't wait. I have built this up in their mind. You're the fishing god of the world now, so don't let them down. No pressure on you.
Well, I tell you what, I was listening to Steve Johnson, and Toledo Bend got tough. And after Sunday was good. Monday and Tuesday's been real tough for me. I'm off today, resting up for a good long run, about 10 days after this. But our fish are biting after 4 o'clock, so you just have to wait till it gets up to about 100 degrees and get out there at 4 o'clock to about 8, and you can catch fish. But before that, they have disappeared.
Well, at some point that's going to change. I mean, do you foresee water temperature going up another 5 degrees or so in the next 30 days?
We're already at 94.
Wow.
I can't believe it's that hot already, but it starts out about 92, and it's been real calm. And again, there's a little bit of a late afternoon breeze starts up, and that seems to trigger the bite, and all of a sudden you're graphing fish where they're supposed to be. But before that, and I've got a good ovenbird, and I just can't find fish. It looks like the lake's lost them all. No white bass anywhere, but it's going to change. You got to keep going and not get depressed when it gets like that.
Is it hot enough right now, Johnny, that you're seeing a thermocline anywhere?
No, I haven't seen that yet. Hopefully it'll settle in and push them back to about 23, 24 foot. And right now they're scattered. They're still fishing the willow trees. And I heard y'all discussing that. I think what happens, especially on full moons, you have crawfish that still are hatched out, and there's brim still nesting up right now. So all that'll kind of wind out, and all the fish will be out deep probably within a week or two.
Now, Johnny, you brought something out. When you say fish going out deep, we were talking about this a while ago. Fizzing. Do our area lakes in this area, East Texas, North Louisiana, Toledo Bend, Rayburn, and so forth, do those areas, do you have to fizz any fish in a tournament, say, from depths of 25 feet here?
No, not after the winter. I mean, you don't see that many fish come out of 35 foot or better, I guess, and down to 25 or 30 foot. I haven't had any that kind of get the bend in the belly and they won't go back down. But in the wintertime, when we're catching, especially the white bass, you'll see the air bladder come up on them if you bring them up too quick. But it's not as big an issue in the summertime, seems like, as it is in the winter.
We discussed this a little while ago. It was our Gamakatsu question of the day. We were talking about vegetation and the fish. And, Johnny, the places that you're fishing, obviously there is structure. There's some type of a depth change there. But there's very little, if any, vegetation around those spots. So why do you think that those fish, because you're talking, you're anywhere from, we'll say 17 to 28, 30 foot of water. What's congregating those fish in these spots that you find?
Just textbook structure, and I heard you mention the Buck Perry book, and that's where I gained the most knowledge about deep water fishing. Is that guy really knew what happens, and the fish live in the deep water and they migrate towards the shallows each day, and they go down a structure path, so they actually follow a path. And these areas that I'm fishing are just where they stop to feed. I mean, they're just traditional feeding areas where when there is a little schooling activity, that's where it'll be. But it's a point on the point, though. You've got to be right on the spot.
You know, that's you just nailed it for me. You put everything in a different mindset. You're not catching those fish where they're holed up out there, maybe sold up in that 40 foot of water. You're catching them on that route, that migration route, as they're moving up to maybe water 10 foot or less to maybe feed after night, or after the nighttime sets in. And, a lot of people don't realize that's, that highway, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be at the destination point. You want to be at that point where fish are coming in and fish are going back out.
And it's a very much a timing deal. And you guys know I really watch the solar tables. They're not 100%, but usually that timing rotates around. And right now we're in a late afternoon bite. And I can imagine in probably a week or two we'll be rotated around where we'll have a pretty good early morning bite up to about noon. So.
Well, Johnny,
keep going and know when it is.
When you talk about the bass migrate and they go to the same areas to feed, that tells me that the bait fish evidently the bait is in the same area, pretty much in the lake most of the time. The bait fish even migrate to the same areas.
I think that's what happens, especially the structure areas are usually where the bait fish blows up over a roadbed, a pond dam, or a long point. Good ambush places where they can. Attack the bait fish, get to them pretty easy, and you'll see the bait on this when the fish are there. But when you graph an area and there's not any shad up, from top to bottom, you might as well keep looking, because if it's not below you, I usually don't catch it. And you guys know, I'll usually tell you there's some right there. Get ready.
Yeah.
Johnny, have you tried the Hydro Wave at all?
No, I'm at the, they sold that out at T.H. Marine. I met the guy the other day. He's right here on Lake Fork. That was the president of that. And there's something to it, I believe, because there's too many people have those special moments when it really works. It probably doesn't work all the time. Nothing does. But I guess I've got everything else on my boat. I got a wooden stick to beat it with. I got a splasher prop now, and I guess I need to put that Hydro Wave up there too.
Now, you got to use the splasher prop the other day. Have you made it work yet? Have you caught fish that you could attribute to that?
I haven't yet. It's been just like glass on the last few days, and every time we turn it on, the guy back says, "Hey, turn that noisemaker off." But it's working on Twaukesee, and I know it'll work here. But I've got to figure out where these big sand bass went to. They've kind of disappeared on us for about the last 7 days.
Now, do you think the sand bass will go even deeper? I mean, are they 60 foot of water now?
They could be in 60 foot, but they won't be down that deep. They'll be suspended out there, and I just know that's what it is. If I go back and really spend some time out there in the 60, 70 foot where I caught them this winter, I bet I'll find schools of them, down 20, 25 foot, just layered up. And I just haven't spent the time doing it because we're trying to catch a big bass right now.
Okay, if I'm the average angler and I'm just coming over and I'm wanting a great fishing trip, I'm wanting to catch some 2.5 pounds, and I don't quite have the funds to be able to go out with Johnny Geis. Can I take a Yellow Magic or a Frog and just put my trolling motor on the bank and have a good morning?
If you go early, I think you'd get some good topwater bites, and try that. I think that'll probably fizz out on you pretty quick after that, and that's when you really need to, go out to some structure areas. But there's a lot of good guides on this lake that are starting to catch a lot of fish on artificials now. Big football jigs, swim baits out deep, but again, it looks devoid of boat traffic from noon to 4 o'clock, and after that, it looks like we've got a tournament going on. Everybody hitting every hole on the lake.
Now, you're not opposed to using artificials. You just that's one of the things that Johnny will do. Johnny will show you what you can catch with the live brim or just the brim head. He'll show, and you can stand there and throw your football jig all you want to, but I promise you, after he's boated the third or fourth 6+ pound fish, you put that jig head away.
Well, there's times when they turn on. You can catch them quicker with artificials, no doubt about it. Just consistently with my customers, they're catching the bigger fish doing the method I'm working on right now. But there's some fish under the bridges in 35 foot of water schooling around the pilings. We pulled up yesterday, and a couple of casts with a little swim jig on a 6-pound line and a small swim bait, and a swim bait, and we caught a couple of pretty good little chunks.
Okay, if somebody is wanting to come hang out with Johnny Geis and learn, all that they need to know about fishing with live brim, fishing structure, true structure, and something that you can actually demonstrate on the the graph, and it's such an educational experience as well. What do they need to do to come hang out with you, brother?
Well, give me a call at 972-800-3882. Area code 972-800-3882. Our website is lakeforkbigfish.com, and from that you can link to my Facebook page that I post daily on that on trips, whether good, bad, or ugly. Pretty much what's going on, and again, I'm expecting the fish to be biting real good the next 2 or 3 days because we're going to split our days up, fish a little bit later. So.
Well, you've been saying all year long that it seemed like the lake was about a month ahead. Well, maybe at some point it caught back up, and now it might be a month behind.
Yeah.
Well, I still believe we're not where it usually is on June 1st yet. I still believe it's running a month behind because we still have that many fish that are still being caught shallow.
Yeah.
But just this last week, we're seeing a little more evidence of people starting to move offshore and starting to report some catches. Not everybody, and again, if you zig when you should zag, and you're at the wrong point when that's not the point to be on, you got to keep moving until you hit them right, and then it's on.
The sad part is going out with Johnny. He makes it almost too easy. I mean, because you think, it ought to be this easy everywhere. I go out there and catch 5 fish weigh 29 pounds, and then you go to Caddo Lake the next day and you catch 3 fish that weigh 4 pounds, and it's like, wait a minute, I need to go get back in the boat with Johnny Guy.
Exactly, it'll spoil you.
I'm telling you.
You'll get a 5-fish stringer weigh 25 better pounds about every day, but it's either stretches of boredom or total chaos. And I like that latter.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Johnny Geist, we certainly appreciate you and love you, man.
We'll see you on the week, okay?
Yep. We're headed that way.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man.
Johnny Geist, all you got to do, check out his Facebook page. I mean, updated daily with all the big fish that are coming in. And like he said, the good, bad, and the ugly. And, at any day, I would venture 100% probability you'll at least have in the boat a 5-fish limit weighs at least 25 pounds.
And not only that, you're going to learn some stuff.
Oh, that's what you pay for.
He's one of the best educators that I've been around. By the way, I did get a text here. The white flower bush that I wondered what it was.
Yeah.
Billy Phipps says it's mayhaw. It's a mayhaw bush.
A mayhaw growing in the water?
That's where they grow.
Well, I mean, growing like in Sam Rayburn.
Yeah, they're out in the water.
I'll be dog.
And which makes a little sense because it looks like that kind of bush.
I'll be dog.
And he wanted to know, do we know when they're letting down Bistineau for a drawdown?
They said August.
It is. I'm not seeing on LDWF News. So.
I talked to somebody the other day, and I believe August 1 is the date.
Okay. All right. Well, as we find out for sure, we'll let everybody know.
Hook it up and track it down. 11:30. The Tiger.
Welcome back to the final segment presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, the Red River Waterway Commission, and Bayou Outdoor Supercenter. For all your boating and camper needs, go to Bayou Outdoor Supercenter. Hey, don't forget to like us on Facebook, where you'll find news, tips, and a little humor. That's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show on Facebook. Check us out. One more time, here are the guys who have a true passion for all things related to God's great outdoors. It's Gary McCoy, Steve Graff, and Mike Eccles.
Keep your seat here in just a minute. Graff's got the best times to fish for us. First, though, a quick word from Sealy Outdoors.
Yeah, Bob Sealy continues to take tournament fishing to a higher level each and every year. Family is the key word when you think. It's up all the way. I told you earlier, I can't even hear myself. I don't know. So
Okay.
if you guys want to do it,
No, you're doing good.
I have it cranked up to literally as high as it'll go.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me just finish up because I don't want Bob Sealy to get shortchanged. Bob Sealy continues to take tournament fishing to a higher level each and every year. Family is the key word when you think of the Sealy Big Bass Splash series of events. Young or old, big or little, Bob Sealy welcomes you to sign up, wet a hook during one of the many events that the Sealy family puts on at the best bass fisheries in the country. Fishing, fun, music, great food, all help to make all Sealy tournaments a great family adventure. So go to SealyOutdoors.com to learn more about the best fishing circuit in America.
And here's your Bob City Big Bass Splash. Best times to fish. This weekend is rated as good to fair with high temperatures in the mid-90s, lows in the mid-70s. Only a slight chance of rain all weekend. Moon illumination will be decreasing each night from 87 to 67% by Sunday. Best times, prime time is early evening, typical this time of year. Friday, 3:25 till 6:25 with sunrise at 6:08, sunset 8:21. Saturday's best time is 4:15 to 7:15 p.m. with sunrise at 6:08, sunset 8:21. And on Sunday, 5:05 to 8:05 in the evening, sunrise 6:09, sunset at 8:21.
Top 10 bass fishing lakes in the country.
Yes.
Came out. Toledo Bend is number one. We were mistaken earlier. We said Sam Rayburn was number 4. Actually, that's in the Central Division.
Right.
Sam Rayburn was number 4. Top 10 in the country. Of course, Toledo Bend, number 1. Santee Cooper, number 2. You know the part that kills me is you and I, I've never once fished in California in my life. And 3 of the top 10 lakes are in the state of California.
No doubt.
And
I can name 2 of them. I think. The Delta.
Clear Lake is 1.
And Clear Lake.
Sacramento, San Joaquin Delta.
Yeah.
That's number 2. And the third one is Lake Berryessa. Right
Don't
there.
know.
Well, one of the things that's surprising to me, is that Guntersville is nowhere in that top 10.
Makes you wonder. Yeah.
I mean, and
somebody told me the fishing had really dropped off there.
And that's kind of scary in the fact that, they've still got hydrilla.
I'm going to bring the article next week. There's a guy predicting Toledo Bend is on the decline.
I hope he's wrong.
Well, hey, don't we all?
I hope he's
but
wrong.
He has his reasons.
Huh.
And he's got his reasons. I read part of the article already, and I was like, wow.
Well, be on the lookout for that. Toledo Bend, again, first time ever.
Yeah.
The number 1 bass fishing lake in the Bassmasters 100 Best Lakes list, and big boon to everybody living around Toledo Bend, all the marinas, the bait and tackle shop owners, fishing
shot in the
guides.
arm.
Yeah.
Great shot in the arm. Real quick, here are the results. We had Hank Weldon on earlier with BASs. He was the tournament director for the high school series, and Toledo Bend results here. Caleb Gatwood and Caden Sobernoski of Oak Grove High School weighed 3 fish to win the event for 14.4 pounds. Darius Richardson, Trevor McKinney from Benton High School finished second. 5 fish limit, 13-13.
Oh, boys. They were breathing on it.
They were. And looking down the list here, Ben Abraham from Alexandria, Ash High School, had 5 fish for 12.5. 7th place was Cole Greer and Kyler Radford from North DeSoto. They had 5 fish that weighed 11.14 for 7th place. This is a name. You need to remember this name, folks, because I'm telling you, I think he's one of the great up-and-coming anglers in this entire area. Wesley Holt and Kobe Miller from Oak Hill High School just south of Alexandria. They had 5 fish weighed 10-13. Wesley Holt is actually guiding on Toledo Bend at the age of 18 years old.
Get out of
That
here.
little sucker is a stick. I'm just telling you. He's a kid you got to watch out for in the future. Locally, looking down, farther down the list, Thomas Wiggins. Van Wiggins' son, Thomas, came in 20th with him and Cody Hamus, Juddy Hamus' boy. Juddy's a friend of our program, a great listener of our program, good fisherman himself. They're from Natchitoches Central High School. They came in 20th. And let's see here, another team, Tucker Rowe, Taylor Cootie, also from Natchitoches Central, came in 34. North DeSoto, 41st place, Tyler Pate, Andrew Valsbury. And in 42nd, right behind them, another team of theirs from North DeSoto, Christian Matthews and Cole Ward. And Nicholas Wiggins and Wes Rollo, great little fishing team. Nicholas Wiggins is another up in camp. A new Daiwa pro staffer is Nicholas Wiggins and Wes Rollo. They came in 45th from Natchitoches Central. So congratulations.
How many teams competed?
Over 100.
Oh, wow.
You know how many they had at Rayburn for the Texas High School State Championship?
Wasn't it like 400?
450 to 500.
Oh, my God.
Dude.
If you don't think high school bass fishing is on fire,
Oh, my gosh.
you got now. I will tell you that at some point, Daiwa or Yamaha, Triton, somebody is going to discover the financial validity to be able to offer some scholarships so that these kids can come up and go through a marketing program like Hank Weldon was telling us, or can go into the ranks of the elite fishermen at some point. Somebody is going to discover we can make money be it hitching our wagon to these mules.
No, ain't no doubt about that. Ain't no doubt about
And once they do, I'm telling you, this will blow up. It'll be really big. Something that I want to mention, we met with Joe Stevens and the gang from Holy Angels.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready for their third annual Fishing for Angels Bass Classic. You know what? And kudos to them.
August 27th.
August the 27th. It's going to be a scramble. They came to us and they said, okay, you guys, we want to make this tournament the biggest and baddest tournament of the summer.
Right.
What do we need to do? And they took Mike, Steve, and I all to lunch.
Yeah.
And we gave them some recommendations. They didn't just take one of our recommendations or two of our recommendations. They took every recommendation that we gave them.
Yeah, including putting us on payroll.
I don't think they did that.
They didn't agree to that, did they?
$200 entry fee. Okay, let's get the money spending out of the way first. $200 entry fee. It's a two-man team, 3 bass limit. It is a scramble this year.
Yeah,
Black
like that.
Lake, Campty, Caddo Lake, Grand Bayou, Lake Bistineau, Red River, or Toledo Bend.
Where me and you going?
You know
We're
where
going to the Bend, brother. We're going to the Bend.
And check this out. First place, guaranteed $5,000.
Yes.
Guaranteed money. If there's one team or 100 teams, $5,000 going to first place. Some other prizes: second place $2,000, third place $1,500, fourth place $1,000. We will get you some entry forms here as quickly as we possibly can. Or obviously, you can call Holy Angels. They'll tell you where they've distributed those. August 27th. This is going to be one heck of a tournament, and we can't let them know anymore how much we appreciate the fact that they took our advice and jumped in there, and they've put together what could eventually become the pinnacle of summer bass fishing.
A great way to end the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Fishing. So, real quick, Dance Moms Abby Lee, the star of Dance Moms, Abby Lee Miller,
10.
has been convicted of fraud, bankruptcy. You don't watch Dance Moms.
No, I don't.
Anyway.
I'm out. I go fishing.
And here's this week's final word. With so many recreational boaters and tournament anglers out on area lakes this time of year, it's important to be alert and use caution while on the water. Pay attention to no-wake zones and understand the rules of the water when approaching other watercraft. Also, this time of year, alcohol is a favorite beverage for lake goers as well. This can cause objects to appear closer or farther away depending on your level of intoxication. Best advice, don't drink and boat. Take the same precautions as you would driving your car or truck. Drive defensively. Thank y'all for listening today. We'll see you next week with more Hooking Up and Tracking Down.